One sip of water and away we go. It is Liquidate All Assets. Dan Dibley, Daryl the Guru Johnson, episode 14, Goo.
I'm going with the old former San Diego Charger and KPIX TV anchor, Mr. Dan Fouts. How about that, Danny?
That's a strong one, Goo. Of course, Marin Catholic High School for 1 year, and then he went across the bridge to St. Ignatius to finish up his high school career. Well, it is Liquidate All Assets for you. It's Guru and it's Dibs. You, of course, can catch us 10 to 2 Monday through Friday on terrestrial radio 95.7 The Game. And Goo, we've got so much to get into coming on the heels of the NBA draft. We've got rookie of the year odds around. We've got NBA futures. Of course, we'll take a look at all the Major League Baseball action as we're getting into August here. And of course, we got Olympic wagering and our favorite soccer and golf wagers as well.
Football.
Mainly the golf, as we don't have a ton of the soccer. But what strikes you, Goo, about the NBA draft as it all played out?
You know what? I'm going to stay focused on the top three selections. Cade Cunningham, I don't know what he's going to be, but I like his presence, just his microphone game. And you see the highlights in college. And also Jalen Green, the guy that bypassed college. And I don't know why I get the feel of Anthony Edwards and LaMelo Ball, who LaMelo Ball played overseas, with the OGs, and we didn't know if that was going to be a detriment, but look how it turned out. And also Jalen Suggs. So I wish the Warriors could have got one of those three. And obviously they went with Moody and Kuminga. I'm excited about those two. But I really think the NBA got two stars with Cunningham and Jalen Green, who I'm jealous of. I mean, he had a little bit of Max Julian from the movie The Mac and Snoop Dogg with all that hair. But,
I love it.
Those two are going to be studs, Dibs.
We appreciate all the comments coming in on StreamYard. And, of course, YouTube. We're streaming it now on our YouTube channel. If you're not there, go to YouTube and 957 The Game. Go ahead and subscribe. Hit us up. Yes, Robert and Camus. He is on Island Vibes for sure. He's fresh off his trip to Hawaii.
But tell I got a tan, Dib. I got a little tan out there, Dib.
Yeah. I sent you some sunscreen, but I'm not sure if you used it. So, just me looking out for a friend, Goo. But before we pivot off the draft, how about some rookie of the year odds? Cade Cunningham, your favorite, 3-1. Jalen Green, 4-1. Then it's Mobley at 6-1. Suggs at 7-1. You got to go all the way down to 25-1. Jonathan Kuminga of the Golden State Warriors, Goo, 25-1. What do you think about his chances? And the other Warrior, Moses Moody, at 40-1 for Rookie of the Year. Who would you tab early on, considering the player and the situation they're going to?
Oh, it's Motown. Shout out to Aretha Franklin, and it's Cade Cunningham because he doesn't have much there. So I think he will be featured. I think he'll get 18 to 25 shots a game as a rookie, Dibs. And it ain't about how many you make. It's what you do nightly in regard to that AVG, which is average. So I could see him averaging 23, 24 points a game if he is who I think he is. So I'm going to go with young Cade Cunningham to get the most opportunity. And real quick, Dibs, about Moody and Kuminga. The real rookie is still the guy they drafted last year in Wiseman. So I don't know if they're going to get a lot of vittles, a lot of shots, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, and that's what it takes. A lot of times it's going to be a good player in a bad situation, somebody who can then, get all the burn they need and go out there and try to light it up. It's Liquidate All Assets with Guru and Dibs, brought to you by BetQL. Looking for sports betting content all day long? The BetQL network is now available nationwide on the Odyssey mobile app and website. Over 10,000 homes, auto-connected devices, and at BetQLnetwork.com. This is wagertainment for every fan. Morning, afternoon, and night. Betting angles throughout the day. Insights from local and national experts. Entertaining content to keep both casual and hardcore bettors engaged. Get sports betting tips from the best in the game. BetQL Network. Streaming now on Odyssey, Goo. The draft is over. Free agency, for the most part, has subsided. What do you think about some NBA futures odds, Goo?
I'm excited, and I got to tell you, I know Dub Nation won't be happy with me. There's another team in the Pacific Division. It's the Kings team, LeBron James, and I love what they did, so I'm ready to see what the odds are. on the Los Angeles Lakers' chance of getting back?
No, they've got him right now as the second choice, Goo. They are plus 400, so 4-1 odds on the Lakers, but the Nets are still the favorites at plus 225. Your third choice, the defending champion Milwaukee Bucks at plus 900, and then, surprise, surprise, the Warriors, Goo, at plus 1,100, the fourth lowest odds on the board.
Now, that's incredible. And hopefully they got some intel about Klay Thompson, because as we talked about it on our show, Snotty Guru and Dibs, a lot of what the Warriors are going to do in regard to success, Dibs, and how far they go is predicated on number 11 and how healthy he is and how closely he can get back to his old self. But plus 1,100, you lay a little down, there's not a big risk. But I got to tell you, if Brooklyn, if those guys can't stay healthy, obviously they're not going to win it. But the Lakers, Dibs, I really like. You're telling me I can get, what was that, 3-1? I like that.
Yeah, and that's pretty good odds right there for the Lakers. I think it's 4-1, Goo.
Okay,
I had it at
still,
yeah.
Put me in. I'm laying something down on that.
Yeah, what about long shots or, shots that are a little bit longer on the board? You got the Jazz and the Suns at 14-1, Denver 22-1. And how about our buddy Matt Steinmetz and his Hawks 35-1? You like any of those teams at those prices?
I like Utah, and I don't want to disrespect Phoenix, who had a great year, but I just can't forget the fact that, their navigation was made easier by a lot of injuries. But Utah, with the healthy Donovan Mitchell, now Eric Paschall getting traded to Utah, coming off the bench, and the firepower and weaponry they have with Jordan Clarkson, I think they're a factor. So if I had to put some money on a long shot, it wouldn't be Atlanta, Dibs, because I think Milwaukee is better than them still and will continue to be. I would go with the Utah Jazz to kind of be next year's Phoenix Suns.
Yeah, appreciate it. And then thanks for all the comments coming in. And of course, go to our YouTube channel, 957 The Game, and subscribe. That way you don't miss a bit of content. A lot of bonus content now, Goo, from 957 The Game. I see our boys Bonte and Butcher Boy from the Morning Roast putting out some previews to their show. So we're going to have to keep this thing, keep it popping, Goo. Let's turn our attention to the Olympics. Olympic basketball, the semifinals tonight with our guy Bobby Fitz on the call on Peacock, I think. And, we don't get into a lot of the coverage of it, but boy, I sure would love to see some of these games on good old-fashioned TV. But USA given 12.5 to Australia in the first semifinal. Goo, what do you got?
I got USA, Bruce Springsteen, USA, and I think they're going to cover the 11.5. And I made a big deal, rightfully so, Dibs, and a lot of us when they lost the practice games. And I think they got it out of their system and they're refocused. KD is arguably one of the best players in our game. So I think they're going to take it to them, and they cover easily tonight. One thing about Peacock, Dibs, have you seen Kevin Hart and Snoop Dogg doing their talk show basically about the games, but it's unfiltered? If you haven't, folks, go check it out.
Yeah, pretty funny. Some of their takes on the sports, it's very unique. It's it's very funny. It's definitely a different look at what's going on. The other semi-Goo, we got France and Slovenia, Luka and company against a French team that beat the USA twice in a row, actually. France is getting 2.5. What do you think about the second semi?
I'm going with Vania. I think it's about Luka. And, I don't know if you've been following. I know you have, Dibs, but he's been putting on a bit of a show. And I think they're better than France. So I think they cover and win by 3. I can't wait to watch it. And then we see Luka, I believe, against USA, who I'm assuming is going to advance.
Yeah, that sure would be quite an interesting matchup. Luka Doncic basically trying to single-handedly lead his team over France. I'm going to go against you in that one, Goo. I'm going to take France and the 2.5. I think the team, the depth of the French team will be enough to withstand Luka Doncic and Slovenia, but I'm with you on the USA. I think they've started to really play at a much better level, and they're coming together as a team, which takes some time, and that's partly why they had some early hiccups, I think, in the exhibition season, and then in group play when they suffered that loss as well. So I'm going to take USA and give the 12.5, but I'm taking France and the 2.5. And you know what? I'll probably take France just straight on the money line. You get a better price, plus 115, and just hope they don't lose the game by 2 and get burned that way.
Yeah, I got my pen, Dibs, my Bic, so I'm writing this all down. So we'll see who comes out on the winning end of that, and we'll bring it up next week.
Okay, just quickly, the women, USA is given 17.5 to Serbia, and France favored by 3.5 over Japan. Is it French? Do the French beat Japan by more than 4, Goo?
Yes, they do, and I would liquidate all assets on that. And as far as the USA women, shout out to them. They have put in beat downs, and I think they're going to cover that spread as well. So I'm going all USA. And Dibs, it ain't because I'm a homer. I'm watching them execute and demolish their opponents.
Yeah, they've been fantastic. And, outside of when they went up against the WNBA All-Stars, which was a bit of a hiccup for us.
Your boy might have lost something on that.
Yeah, absolutely, Goo. You and I are in the same camp on that one. Well, before we get to some MLB locks that we've got coming up here, Goo, let's talk about MLB futures odds and where the World Series odds sit for the teams as we sit here in August. The Dodgers plus 275, your odds-on favorite. The Giants still sitting at 12-1, Goo. Are you a believer in the Giants at 12-1?
Man, I want to be. And I think the World Series to Giant fans coming into the season, Dibs, was just making the playoffs. But for them to get it all the way done, I would shy away from that. And I think we're starting to see Gosman and DeSclafani, just the whole starting rotation, come back to earth a bit. But that Dodgers plus 275, they can do that like they did last year without winning the division. And now they got Scherzer, Duffy, Trey Turner. I just think the light's going to click at some point. And they're not having a bad season. They're right there, but they're still 3.5 back. So I would put something big on the Dodgers at plus 275, Dibs, because the Giants, that rotation just scares me to go all the way and get it done.
Yeah, it's true, and especially at 12-1. Houston, by the way, your second choice at 5-1 right now. Then it's the White Sox, which are just about 8-1. They're actually 7.5-1, if you will. And then it's Boston, San Diego. You got to go all the way out to my dark horse, and I'm looking for a price here, Goo. Okay. The New York Yankees, 20-1. What do you think about me throwing a little piece at the Yankees? At 20-1, they still have a very good batting order, made better at the trade deadline, and win healthy. I know they've had a lot of health issues. That's a dangerous team, and they're only 2 back of the wild card.
And we haven't even mentioned, I know he's dealing with COVID now, Garrett Cole. So they got the horse, and when you get Gallo and Rizzo to go with Stanton and the rest of the gang, Judge, I mean, there's nothing like a domino effect of a lineup. So if you would be a good friend and put something down for me on that 20-1, Dibs, I think it's real. And I think we haven't heard the last of Aaron Boone and the New York Yankees being a contender.
Yeah, and I look at the way the A's have kind of seemed vulnerable.
Where are they at?
I'll give you that momentarily, but they're vulnerable in the wild card race, Goo. And, the odds makers have them at 25-1. So they're even behind the Yankees. Right now, the odds makers have Boston and Tampa both ahead of the Yankees. But American League-wise, you've got the Astros and the White Sox. They're most likely going to win their division. And then it's Tampa. Then you get to the Yankees, and Toronto at 28-1 is a little bit more of a longer shot. And, if you want to just throw your money away, the Diamondbacks 5,000-1. If you're interested in just lighting your money on fire,
right, or flushing it down the toilet, whichever one you want to do.
Yeah, either way, and appreciate the odds coming in there. And let's give out some picks for tonight, Goo. We got an interesting slate of Major League Baseball action. Do you have any locks for the people?
I got 2 of them. I'm going Derek Jeter. I got 2 of them, and one starts with Giants, and it's Kevin Gosman. I always talk about Stella, but he has to start getting his groove back. I'm taking the Giants on the run line minus 115. I think they're smarting over losing last night in the fashion that they did with that crazy call on Casali. So that's one. The Giants minus 115 on the run line, Dibs. And then the other, I just think this is a slam dunk. You got the Chicago Cubs, who I know they did a fire sale and everything is bad in Chi-Town, but they're playing another lowly team as we talk about it. So I'm going, and it's -110 on the run line. Carrasco versus Thompson. So I'm taking the Chicago Cubs on the run line, Dibs, -110.
Carrasco versus Thompson. That's the Mets and the Marlins.
Yeah, that I messed up. That's where I was going.
Oh, because you said the Cubs, and so you threw me a little bit there.
Yeah, my bad.
You're taking the Mets?
Oh, yeah, the Mets over the Marlins. And the Marlins play good baseball and tough, but New York is in it to win it. And you got Carrasco going -115 on the run line, Dibs. I just think the Mets do away with the fish.
I love it. Those are two solid picks. I'm actually putting together a parlay in real time, which is why I was a little distracted, because you had me thinking about the Cubs and the Rockies. And, man, those Rockies at home are a far different team than they've been on the road. I'm going to go ahead and take the Rockies on that same run line and give the 1.5. It's +100. And I got to put my money where my mouth is about the Yankees, because I really think that they're starting to lock in. So I'm going to take the Yankees -1.5 at home against Baltimore. That is -135. So it's going to be a special liquidate all assets 4-teamer, Goo. We got the Mets, we got the Rockies, we got the Giants, and we got the Yankees all on the run line, and it'll pay 12.5 to 1 if it hits. So, whatever the chicken is, you feel like putting out a couple of wings, a drumstick, you want to go full breast, whatever chicken you want to throw out there. That is the official, unofficial liquidate all assets. Why the hell not? 4-teamer of the day, Goo.
Yeah, and if you're into your greens, chicken Caesar salad as well as an appetizer, Mr. Dibley. Let's do it. I like that.
That's really good. Still to come, we've got some PGA odds. We got 2 events, Goo, in the PGA Tour. One's the World Golf Tournament and the WGC. The World Golf Championships, and then you've got a tournament up in Truckee, just outside of Tahoe,
right down the road.
Yeah, the Barracuda. I don't know if you're free this weekend, but you ever think about getting out there and seeing some golf, Goo?
I want to, Dibs, but the Barracuda doesn't sound inviting. How long has this tournament been going on? The Barracuda.
It's an online sponsorship. It's been going on for a small handful of years. They just started having it in Truckee at Old Greenwood, which is a golf course that Steiny and I play in our tournament in July.
Yeah, that's what I was just thinking. I was like, Truckee, why does that sound? And that's where you were at, where you took home the belts.
Yeah, took it home.
You almost took home the belts. Yeah.
Yeah, 4 years ago, I got the covered jacket. But, of late, I haven't been able to quite get it done.
But you're close, Dibs. You're close. You'll bring it home.
Yeah, I'm knocking on the door, Goo. And that's all really you can do when you think about competing at any level. Hey, let's talk about the Niners and the starting quarterback. It's something that we've been kicking around all day here on 95.7 The Game. Our show, Steiny, Guru, and Dibs, we definitely we're talking about it start to finish. But there's odds, Goo. We've got action on who will be the week 1 starter for the 49ers. Sudfeld is 50 to 1. Josh Rosen 35 to 1. Trey Lance +225. So basically about 5 to 2. Jimmy Garoppolo's -350, still the heavy favorite. Are you surprised at how low those odds are for Trey Lance, Goo?
I am, and with every fiber in my being, Dibs, I just can't believe Kyle Shanahan would do this to Jimmy Garoppolo. I don't believe he would be stripped of his starting job before an actual meaningful game in week 1. I do like the 225, and I'm going to lay something down just in case I'm reading the room wrong. But you can't tell me a non-padded practice, because that's when this started, when our guys Shasky and Bate were out there, and then the whole world latched on talking about how great Trey looked. What does that do for Jimmy, though? Are they going to be that cutthroat? But at +225, I'll lay something down. But Jimmy -350 tells me, you taught me this, Dibs, follow the money And I feel like I am by saying Garoppolo at least will get the start in Detroit week 1 minus 350.
Yeah, but that price is a little scary. To lay 350 just to get back 100.
Right.
And, if you make the bet now and Trey Lance goes out and he balls out in the preseason games, well, now you may have issues and the Jimmy G price would come down and the Lance price would also come back toward maybe he would get closer to being the favorite. So if you think Jimmy G is going to win the battle, you might be better off waiting. And, Stunner Fillmore makes a good point. Jimmy G, I think he also will be the starter, but maybe you wait until Trey Lance goes out and plays well, and then the Jimmy G price goes from minus 350 maybe to minus 200, and you don't have to lay as much to get back your 100.
I like that thinking, but let me just ask you this. Forget the football aspect of it. Let's just say Trey Lance is Dan Marino during the preseason. Am I looking at this wrong when I just think about the politics and the friendship and relationships of the phone calls, the numerous calls that the Niner management made to Garoppolo about the courtship of other quarterbacks? Dibs, do you really believe that means nothing in this scenario? Because to me, that's why I would go on the 350, even though it's steep, because I don't think they got the guts to do Jimmy that bad. Like, they'll run him out there, then bring him back. But to strip him before it starts, I just don't think, even if they wanted to, they would feel comfortable doing Jimmy. Like take the knife out of my back. If I'm Garoppolo, I would be saying that to the FO, the front office.
Yeah, but the rat on the table, if I may, is that Trey Lance is better. And so if he shows it early, if he shows all the skills and he shows you that, he might be ready to go week 1 and he's a better athlete. We all know that. And, Kyle's been dying to see him and he wants to see him cut it loose. And so maybe if Trey Lance plays well over these 3 games, he can come in and steal the job. I'm of the same mind as you, but 350 to me, too steep. So this would be a no wager situation for me.
Wow. And I'm going to mush myself because I'm going plus 225 on Lance in case it does happen. And I'm reading it wrong, Dibs. But you are right. What are you saying? Wait, and I like it. Because we'll really get to the nitty-gritty as we get closer and preseason games are played, what's really happening and what Vegas is thinking.
Yeah, and if you like Trey Lance at plus 225, you'd want to make that wager now if you can, because if Trey Lance goes out and he plays well and Jimmy G's mediocre, that 225 is going to go down to maybe plus 150.
Yes, sir.
Or maybe they'll be co-favorites at some point. So if you think Jimmy G is going to win the job, then go ahead and hold off. And if you think it's going to be Lance, you better get in now. Camus, I agree with you. Trey won't start unless Jimmy G gets hurt. And hopefully we don't have to confront that, which would be certainly an uncomfortable one. Goo, one more for baseball.
All right.
Before we get back and I give out some soccer picks, and including, hopefully we do a little bit better than I did last time on the golf. You can't win them all, but MVP, American League MVP. Is it a done deal? Is it Shohei Ohtani, or can anyone else possibly catch him?
It's done. We only got 45 games left, 47 games left. It's a wrap. I ain't talking about Saran. Ohtani is the MVP.
Minus 700 right now, so the odds makers would
stay away from that. Yeah.
Yeah,
it's over. Yeah.
The only other candidate with a chance, according to the money, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is plus 500. Can Vladdy Jr. do anything to roar back and stun Shohei?
No, and he would have to do a whole hell of a lot. They would have to come back and overtake the ALE, win the division. I don't see that happening. He's a baller, but this is Ohtani's. But Dibs, I don't know if you have it up. What about my guy in Oakland, Olsen? Is he even on the list?
Oh, yeah. Olsen is your fourth choice at plus 5,000. It's Devers is plus 4,000. Wow. Then it's Olsen, and then former Athletic Marcus Semien, and then Jose Altuve is 66-1.
Yeah, that's too far. But at the end of the day, if you got a little chicken, you put something down. If one of those chickens come home to roost, then you get paid. But yeah, Ohtani's got it sewed up. The
real interesting one, though, Goo, is the National League MVP race, where the favorite, Fernando Tatis Jr., is injured. He's minus 125, but you got Max Muncy plus 400, Trey Turner's plus 400, and then you get to Freddie Freeman at plus 700. What do you think about Fernando Tatis Jr. as an MVP?
I'll tell you what, when he got hurt first early on this year, in my mind, Dr. Guru, I thought he was done. The way he was holding that shoulder, I thought it was over, and he comes back a week later. So I think, Dibs, we'll see him again a week later, and he'll be back to reclaim the throne. And I just don't see the other guys, Muncy included, struck out in a big spot last night. And I know it's not just predicated on that, but something's up with the Dodgers. So I just don't see Tatis with the lead now letting those guys overcome them, even if he'll miss maybe 5 to 6 games.
Yeah, that's the interesting one, is how much time could he miss, and how much can other players cut into what he has in a lead right now. Can I get a shout out to me and my friend Bex tuning in from Cow Hollow? What up, James?
What up?
What up, Bex and Cow Hollow? And thank you to so many, Oscar and Robert and Warren SF and all of the other people chiming in. Goo, one more on the MVP before I give out some golf picks.
You see, I'm feeling comfortable. I'm taking a swig of water.
I love it. I love it. You got to hydrate, Goo. It's very important. Buster Posey and Brandon Crawford are both 50-1 to win the MVP. Do you see a way that if the Giants win the West and they have the best record in baseball, can a Giant sneak off with the MVP?
Wow, that's just such a great question. And as far as Buster Posey and his .329 batting average, Dibs, he doesn't. I think he's got 13 home runs, and I just don't think that's sexy enough. But I could kind of see it. And at 50-1, what do you got to lose besides Little Chicken? And then Crawford, been kind of not quiet lately, Dibs, but he was at a torrid pace early on with the bat. His defense, a Gold Glove awaits him. I just don't see that and would feel comfortable putting that chicken down on both of them to get that award.
Yeah, and I see that. And you could even go further up the board and go to Mike Yastrzemski, who's 200-1, in case, you think this Giant story can continue to happen. Maybe somebody can walk off with it from the Giants, because, if they end up winning 97 games and Posey's hitting 330, 340, and Brandon Crawford gets 30 home runs somehow, if he has a late flurry and he gets, it is possible. I remember Kirk Gibson's MVP year when he had, I think, 25 home runs and 80 runs batted in. It was not an eye-popping year, yet the Dodgers had the best team. And so that's the way that went.
I'll tell you this, though, just back to Tatis, and nobody wants to see anybody stay out because of injury, but those two would benefit, and I think these numbers would get better if for some reason or another Tatis was to miss, the season or an extended amount of time. Then, Posey and Crawford, they got some action.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting to see for all of the races, Cy Young and the MVP. The AL MVP appears to be a done deal, but I think that National League MVP, especially if the Giants hang around, that becomes a real interesting one. And there's some value in there, further down the ticket, some longer shots, especially if the Giants were able to eventually close this out.
Let me run this by you real quick, Dibs. Steph Curry had a basically wasted season because the NBA and the NBA fans didn't get to see the greatness of him on the playoff stage, unfortunately. And it felt like, to me, a waste because he is the most exciting player in the game. I kind of feel that same way with Ohtani. The fact that Trout may not cut, it might be a week or two, it got pushed back, but I feel like, that sizzle of Ohtani in the postseason, I just hate sports for that reason, to where, you got great players, but if the team aspect is not there, they don't get that stage, Dibs. And I feel that way with Ohtani, and I felt that way with Trout forever.
Yeah, and that's it's unfortunate more so, I think, in basketball where, you're going to get a full series and you're involved a lot more in the regular action. But, Trout quietly is stacking year upon year of not being in the postseason. And, it's an unfortunate thing for a guy playing in such a big market. Well, Goo, let's do a little bit of golf before we get out. We have a couple of events this weekend, and I'm going to give you some names, and these are, how you want to play them. It's up to you, but I'll give you the odds for them to win the tournament. But as we mentioned before, a top 10 bet is usually the most sound way that you can have action in these events. My favorite, we're going to go with Louis Oosthuizen, 20-1, plus 2,000. He's been unbelievably consistently great. Hasn't done a lot of winning of late, but he's been in the hunt week in and week out. Daniel Berger is plus 2,200 or 22 to 1. We're going to include him in a lot of our specials. Scotty Scheffler is 30 to 1. He's racking up top 10 finishes. 4 of his last 5 starts, he's been in the top 10. And my long shot is Kevin Kisner, 80 to 1 plus 8,000. Kisner, really good ball striker. And this is a course in Memphis in which you're going to need to really be able to strike the ball quite well. For some perspective, Berger is plus 140 for a top 10 finish. Louis Oosthuizen is plus 180. Scheffler plus 200. So if you want to go that route and play it a little bit safer,
I love that.
You know, the prices. I'm looking for Kisner. Oh, Kisner's plus 620 for a top 10 finish. So
Dibs, I love that because I do play it safe with. It's such a. I ain't got to tell you a big difference from winning the whole thing and being the one than getting the top 10. But my favorite part of this about your golf picks is I always ask you why. So when it comes to Oosthuizen, has he had a good major finish to where you look at him and say he's almost ready? Like, how did he get your number 1 pick?
He's been inside the top 3 4 of his last 5 starts, and he was 6th in this tournament last year. So he likes this course. And, you know, Goo, he was leading at the U.S. Open, and then he was – oh, yeah, he's been on an unbelievable tear. He was leading at the Open Championship.
Oh,
and
man.
He got caught by Colin Morikawa, who, I mean, Colin Morikawa, one of the favorites this tournament. He's always a favorite, but we're going to try to beat the chalk. One more, Goo, because we got the Barracuda Championship out at Tahoe. And this is an event where they're using the modified Stableford scoring. I won't bore you with the details of that, but we're going to back Gary Woodland at plus 1,800.
Familiar.
It's a tournament where if you make birdies and eagles, you can make a lot of damage. And with this scoring format, Gary Woodland, with his great length, I think that he's going to perform well at the Barracuda. And of course, follow us on Twitter at DDD Guru, at Dan Dibley, 1B. We will continue to put these picks out on our social media, and tune into Steiny Guru and Dibs 10 to 2 lock of the day every day at 1:15.
Yes, sir. I can't wait. One quick question before I'll let you go, Dibs. You always taught me about the courses in golf. They play a major key in the golfer actually winning it and what that course offers. Now, I told you, sadly, on my bucket list, I want to get to Tahoe and watch all the, Barkley and Steph swing.
Yeah.
Is this the same course at the Barracuda they'll be playing on? And how difficult, if it is that course to a regular golfer?
This is a different course. This is in Truckee, and the Celebrities is down at Edgewood in South Lake Tahoe. This is a little bit closer to the north side, up in Truckee. And this course is very tough, beautiful. You're going to, they probably won't have this tournament on as much as the WGC event because they got the bigger names and the bigger money. But if you get a chance to catch it, it's absolutely beautiful up there in the pine trees and up in the hills of Truckee. They're playing at altitude, so these guys are able to smash the ball.
I got all my picks written down. Let's get this chicken, Dibs.
I love it, Goo. I'll see you tomorrow, my brother.
Yes, sir.